This is gonna be a difficult decision. Okay, I have spent a fair amount of time using the iPhone Air and the iPhone 17 Pro. And I thought to myself, once I finally got my hands on time with these devices, I would know for certain if I made the right choice by proclaiming that I was going for the iPhone Air model this year over the 17 Pro. And I have to say, after using both devices, I am more conflicted than ever. Listen, this is off the top of my head. Forgive me if it is a little rambly, but the thing I will say about the iPhone Air is one of the main things I was concerned about with this phone was that it was going to be thermally constrained. I mean, look at this. This is the thinnest iPhone ever, and it's still using titanium. And I was even more concerned for that when Apple said in their press conference that the reason they are switching away from titanium to aluminum on the Pro model is to help better dissipate heat. And on top of that, for the A19 Pro in the Pros, they added the vapor chamber cooling technology. So I was thinking already, okay, the A19 Pro, it's gonna be a very hot chip, and the Pros needed to add vapor chamber cooling to cool it off properly, and it's using aluminum. So when you go look at the Air in this thin design, still using titanium, it is going to be very thermally constrained. It is going to be a very hot phone. And to my surprise, so far, it has not been that. And every year when I set up the iPhones, they always get hot. I'm downloading my data from a backup. I have it plugged in and charging at the same time, right? Two things that are very intensive on the phone. The phone's first setting up its indexing. It's probably like the worst time to use your phone. When I did that on my 15 Pro, it got hot. When I did that on my 16 Pro, it got very hot. This year, when I was setting up the iPhone Air, I picked up the 17 Pro and the Air. They're right next to each other, both plugged in, both setting up, and they both felt about the same temperature. They're both a little warm, not hot, a little warm. And I was like, wait, I was expecting this thing to be scorching hot, and it wasn't. So at least in terms of that, and then just using it, right now it feels cool to the touch. The Air does not seem to be as thermally constrained as I thought. Now, I'm sure if you're running an intensive game or doing something really intensive, you're probably going to get better performance on the Pro. This thing may even heat up. I got to test it a lot more. But at least for now, and especially for basic tasks, I'm pretty confident in saying that the Air can handle the A19 Pro chip. And that's a good thing because the experience on both these phones feels exactly the same this year. Apps load at the same speed. The screens are just as responsive because they're both using 120 hertz. So when you're using both, and yeah, I checked the Geekbench scores, and both phones have 12 gigabytes of memory with these A19 Pro chips. So performance-wise, in day-to-day tasks, these phones feel identical. And that is kind of an accomplishment for the Air when it's so much thinner than the Pro model. So having the same performance, having the same exact display, is something I'm not really used to with Air models. When I think of Air, I think of the MacBook Air, I think of the iPad Air, super slim devices, lightweight, but compromise with their performance, compromise especially with their displays. And for the iPhone Air, Apple has not done that. It feels very similar to the iPhone Pro. Now, one thing I'm afraid of with this iPhone is battery anxiety, and honestly, I always need a portable charger on me to keep my devices charged, which is why I love this ingenious, all-in-one, built-in solution from Taurus with their FlexLine charger, which actually has a built-in, long retractable USB-C cable directly into the power brick. That is so cool. So even if you forget your cable at home, this is all you need to charge any USB-C device. And it's so much better traveling with this neat setup rather than packing in a power brick with a separate cable and it gets all tangled, like the cord and everything. Like, it's such an awful setup. Like, it's very inconvenient to travel with. I can literally just throw this in my pocket. And despite its pretty small size, it's actually packing 67 watts of fast charging. So you can fast charge an iPhone Air to 50% in just 30 minutes. And with all that power, there's even an additional USB-C port on this charger. So you can charge an additional device, so I can fast charge my iPhone and still have enough power to charge a MacBook. To pick up a Taurus FlexLine charger, check out the link in the description below, and thank you to Taurus for sponsoring this video. I just had to do it one more time. All right, let's talk about the obvious drawback going for the Air, the single camera. This is an area that I'm still gonna have to spend a lot of time playing with both of these phones to really see if I miss not having these two extra lenses. From what I can tell so far, the main cameras look very identical. There might be some slight differences. I think even like the focal length is like a little bit different, but straight out of camera, they both look pretty similar. Now, while I don't think I'll miss the ultra wide angle lens that much, I was testing out the 8x zoom, and you can get much farther and get a better picture, even though it is just cropping in on a 48 megapixel sensor and not really a full zoom. Sometimes you can still tell it's just a digital zoom, but yeah, you're getting a lot more usable shots at farther ranges now on the iPhone 17 Pro, and that is something I have been asking for. So now that they've added it, it's kind of like, okay, they answered something I wanted, but now I'm kind of like, oh, am I just gonna give that up and go for the iPhone Air? Maybe. Now, what I will say, and I think this is really gonna be hard for me, is there are times where I shoot content with my iPhone 17 Pro or my iPhone 16 Pro, and the Air, even though it has the A19 Pro chip, not getting support for the Pro camera formats is really disappointing. I don't know if Apple can change that decision, but yeah, I would love to have the Pro camera formats, ProRes video on this phone, and they're not here. And I think that might end up being my biggest drawback when I get to use this more in day-to-day use. Side note, the front cameras, which is the same on both phones, is really cool. I like that it automatically crops in. I think the selfies look really good. I mean, maybe I'm just handsome, but yeah, look at that. That looks great to me. And the one thing I wasn't expecting, I knew that you could like change from like landscape to portrait mode just by like pressing a button now, like you didn't have to rotate the phone. But what I didn't realize during the presentation was that that works for video too. So now if you're like recording like a selfie style video, you can just hold it straight up like this and record in landscape. And for content creation, I think that's great. I'm like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore if I'm recording a selfie video. I can just hold it like this, like normal, and go record a video. And even like that dual capture mode is pretty cool. So that was something that I just wasn't expecting on either of these phones. And that is like probably like the standout cool feature this year, just from playing around with it in terms of new features. That one is definitely really interesting. My other disappointment, and this is just for the Air, was the speaker. Now, yes, it is a single speaker. There is no bottom firing speaker. Now, at first, I was watching like TikToks and I was listening to it. I'm like, oh, this sounds fine. I actually didn't notice the one speaker on the Air. But then I started playing some music. I started playing some YouTube videos with better audio. And I noticed that the Air, especially at loud volumes, that front speaker was a little distorted. And it just didn't sound as full and rich as the speaker on the 17 Pro. So if you are someone that listens to a lot of phone audio through the built-in speakers, that's definitely going to be probably one of the weakest points about going for the Air. So single camera, no bottom firing speaker, worse battery life than the 17 Pro. To be fair, I haven't reviewed it yet, but yeah, it's definitely worse than the 17 Pro. This has a bigger battery. Could the battery life potentially be fine for me and last me through a whole day? Yeah, definitely. And based on some of the early reviews, I think there's a good chance of that being true. But again, these are all things I knew and you knew before watching this video. We knew this just by watching Apple's keynote. So why in my videos did I say that I was going for the iPhone Air? And why would I pick it over the 17 Pro? Well, that all comes down to one thing: the form factor and the design. And I said it before, this iPhone Air, and now that I'm holding it and I've been using it all day, it continues to surprise and delight me every time I set it down on the table and I pick it up. My first initial reaction is a little bit of joy, going, ooh, I didn't expect it to be that light. I didn't expect it to be that thin. I didn't expect it to feel like that in my hands. It's something I'm not used to holding still because it's only been a day. And if I go back and pick up my old 16 Pro Max, I go, oh, wait a minute. This feels chunky. This feels a little sharp on the edges over here. And it feels a little unwieldy, which is all the reasons why I didn't get a Pro Max model this year. The iPhone Air, it's light. And listen, this isn't Apple's lightest phone, but based on the weight distribution and with the big 6.5-inch display, it feels super light. It is the most premium iPhone, scratch that, it is the most premium phone that I have ever held in my hands. It looks good, and I have not had a feeling of using a phone like the iPhone Air since the iPhone 10. It just feels new and it feels different. It doesn't feel like any previous phone that I've used before. And you might go, okay, Greg, it's just a thin phone. Is it really that crazy? Yeah, it's thin and that's how it feels. But the thing that I was not expecting was picking this up. Yes, the iPhone 17 Pro, much thicker. Hey, it's even thicker than my iPhone 16 Pro Max. But there was something I didn't expect. That unibody design with the aluminum melts in your hands. This feels smoother and softer than this phone. It's also, obviously, I went for the smaller 17 Pro size, smaller than my 16 Pro Max. So this is someone, I've been using like a Pro Max model for the last 3 years. Now getting the smaller size, I pick this up and I go, wait a minute, this feels a lot nicer than I remember. And if I hold it against my Air, well, the Air is bigger than the 17 Pro. Where now I am having a bit of a dilemma, because when I put both of these things in my pocket, they both feel about the same. Now in my hand, yeah, the Air, it's a clear winner in terms of overall feeling. But again, the 17 Pro didn't feel as bad as I expected it to. And with the new design, the unibody design, it definitely feels a lot better in the hands than a lot of the previous Pro models did. So now my dilemma is, do I miss out on all the features, the extra features that the Pro has to offer? The more cameras, the Pro video formats, the better battery, the faster USB-C speeds. Do I just say, forget about all that and pick the Air just based on its form factor? I know it's the biggest first world problem in the world and you're probably making fun of me, but this is the hardest time I have ever had picking an iPhone model. And even as I end this video, I am honestly not sure which one I'm gonna go with. For now, I am going to see if I can make the iPhone Air work. I'm going to see how much I miss those features on the iPhone 17 Pro, and then I'll decide which one I want to use. I feel like I'm gonna have to use both of these phones, honestly, before I can really decide and see which one is the perfect model for me. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something new, and hopefully you enjoy my journey using these phones and seeing which one I ultimately go with. If you want to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel to see a future video where I discuss which phone I went with. If you like this one, give me a like. And hey, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you all in the next video. I'm just not sure with which phone.